It's simple to see, it's at Magik TV, so the world can believe it's at Magik TV.
Okay, so who do I have here?
You have Terry Jones, Ed, and basically I'm at the wonderful, wonderful Boardwalk Restaurant. It's a new restaurant that's opening up, so I have to tell a little bit about their fantastic food. My name is Terry Jones. I'm a director-writer, and right now I have a project with Stan Lee of Marvel Comics and I'm also directing a children's TV show and a few other projects, but that's a little bit about who I am.
Okay, so now name some of the projects that you're working on right now.
Right now I'm working on a project I can't mention because it has to do with signed contracts, but I'm working on a children's talk show, which is very cool, and also basically just finished a martial arts comedy film, and working on a second part of that martial arts comedy film in April. And then basically also I'm going to be directing a show called Fanboys Guide, and it's about all those fanboys who like movies based on the comic heroes, special effects, all that.
Okay, so you're here at Boardwalk. You had a chance to taste the food. What did you think of the food? What did you have? What did you think of it?
I thought the food was fantastic. The great thing I liked about it is the chef actually came around and he served us these appetizers. From the moment I tasted that I knew that food was going to be fantastic. It was a shrimp chicken appetizer. It was absolutely genius. And then, of course, we were lucky enough, and the owner invited us backstage, and that's behind in the kitchen, so we could see their incredible kitchen setup. And since I'm a real foodie, that meant a lot for me. And then I actually had a burger, which was absolutely fabulous. It's a number 12, and like I said, get that one. It's great. Avocados, you'll love it.
If there's anything that you could do to change the world, to make it a better place, what would that be?
Probably if I can do anything to change the world, it's like a doctor of mine once said, if I could give everyone a pill that once they took that pill, they know what they're good at, I think the world would be an incredible place if people were doing something to make themselves happy every day. And that, to me, would change the world. If everybody woke up, they were doing the right thing that they were supposed to be doing, they felt great about it, and they were happy, the world would be an outstanding place. I think in life, people do have talents and abilities, but a lot of times because of things in their life, whether or not they get married early and they have a family, and they sometimes have to put a lot of those dreams aside. Sometimes because of financial reasons, they're not able to go after that dream. But if everybody can make that dream happen, what an incredible thought. Life would be like a musical, right? We'd all be dancing down basically Hollywood Boulevard.
Well, what inspired you to become a director, and how did you find yourself to be the talent that you are?
Basically, I grew up where my father was really a huge filmie. He watched films. We'd watch them together. I would actually skip school, pretend like I was sick so I could watch the Humphrey Bogart movie that was on, and we'd talk about it all the time. My dad would talk about the directors. He'd talk about the way the film looked, talk behind the scenes. He also basically loved books and reading, so I read a lot of adult fiction when I was a kid, and he would explain to me what things were because he wanted us to have someone to talk to, so that's why I knew so much about film, so much about the mythology behind film, and so much about what it is. So when I just finally decided that I wanted to be a film director, I actually could write. I've been writing since I was a kid, and I combined those both. I came down to UCLA and went to grad school. I was pretty much had it all together because I was in a visual arts program, so for me it was a matter of just pulling all those things that I had naturally. And also I knew so much about film and the film world. One of the things I went is outside of the film school and went to a lot of the guys my dad used to tell me about, the behind the scenes cinematographers, sound people, and started getting to knowing them, and basically said to myself, wow, if my dad could only be here when I got to know all these fantastic genius guys, he'd probably have a tear in his eye. So basically I came down here to do those classic looking films from the 40s. I mean, if I could open a book and have Humphrey Bogart, all these genius actors, Henry Fonda to work with, Charlton Heston, I would kill.
All right, so is there anybody that's living or is not with us that really inspired or helped inspire your own work other than your father?
For me, probably would be a lot of people in Black history. Like right now, big inspiration for me is the bomb group of the Tuskegee Airmen, because I read about those, met the guys, I have a project with the guys, and it's just something where I'm big on that history, that somebody before me laid the groundwork for me to be what I'm doing today. And it's something that I think that kids now growing up just don't get that connection, that somebody had to do the thing, somebody had to march, somebody had to stand at a counter in down south to make sure that I could go to school at UCLA, right? And I think that there's a whole, like I said, disconnect with the youth today, that they don't really understand that, because Martin Luther King was alive when I was a kid. All these people were around. So it's like those things were real. They were not just in a history book for me. So I would say a lot of my inspiration came from black. Bill Cosby was important during a period of time because he was the first black person on TV that played a role almost like a white person on TV, right? And he was like the most popular character of I Spy. And so I loved Bill Cosby. And of course I got to eventually work for Kids Say the Darndest Thing with Mr. Cosby. And we sat like at the, backstage and talk. And I would always say to him, like, Mr. Cosby, how come you give people jokes but you give me homework? He goes, that's because you're a student. I got to give. So he would always question me, say, Terry, because he's big on jazz. He's like a genius jazz historian. He knew I knew a lot about jazz, so he'd always ask me questions like, what would you think of so-and-so, or how do you think so-and-so did this? So definitely. So I would say that, getting to meet a lot of those people, Martin Luther King's daughter, Rosa Parks, getting to meet those people made me feel like history was alive because they were such heroes for me when I was growing up. Try to go out like in schools and talk to kids about how to make their dreams happen, right? You can set all the goals you want, but if you don't know how to make it happen, it's a problem, right? And I just went to a school in Compton that the mission statement was not about have a dream. The mission statement was how to make that dream happen, and that's an important thing. It's like the kids were asking me, because they knew I'm into comic books and comic book heroes, and they said, well, Miss Jones, can you teach us how to draw a comic book? So I had the teacher give me a long sheet of paper, made each one of the kids panel, and they all drew their own superhero. But constantly as I was walking around looking at what they were doing, I was saying, we talked about it, now we made it happen, right? We talked about it, now we made it happen, right? So that constantly kids get that idea that if you talk about stuff, you gotta make it happen, right? Talk is cheap, better make it happen.
Thank you so much. Is there a website or any place that people can find you?
Basically, I would say if they want to look at some of the cool YouTube stuff we've done, they can go to Terry L. Jones 747 on YouTube, and they can watch all the movies and things like that there in the shorts, which always is fun, and the car shows I've done. So yay.